The Property Show brings you an in-depth analysis of the country's real estate development. Advice and tips from property owners, engineers, and finance entities that will lead you to owning your dream home. The Property Show.
Hello and welcome to the Property Show. In the past few years, Rwanda has attracted a number of investors in line with the ease of doing business in Rwanda, and that has managed to put pressure on our own growing sector, where we have to accommodate not only the locals but also the foreigners that come in Rwanda as experts or workforce. In today's episode, we got a chance to speak to some of them, giving us a clear understanding of how they find our real estate market and what could be done to meet the international market. But before we get into that, how about we start with the interior designing, where I'm going to share with you a few tips that will help you manage to design the right nursery for your baby. My name is Brenda. Welcome to the Property Show. Today I want to talk about choosing the right design for your nursery. This is one of the major decisions that soon-to-be parents will have to make, and you want to do it right. This project is exciting and overwhelming. You don't want to welcome your bundle of joy in a place that you're not happy with. So you have to do it the right way. And today I'm going to give you some tips that will help you choose the right design for your bundle of joy nursery. If you're trying to settle on the perfect theme, start by picking patterns. A single patterned item can help you by providing both a theme and coordinating color. You'll be able to build the room piece by piece simply by picking coordinating items. The number 2 tip that I want to share with you is that you need to focus on multifunctional furniture, because as your kids grow up, things change, their needs change. So you don't want to invest in furniture that are going to be useful only for 1 to 2 years. You want something that will grow with them. So how about you focus on that? Either if it's a table for changing, if it's it sits in the room, make sure that you look for something that you'll be using for a long period of time. And then you have to look at it in the decorative way. Make sure that this piece is decorative. You can use it, you can change it in different angles. The number 3 tip that I want to share with you is you make sure that you go for plenty of storage. It goes without saying that babies, they come with plenty of stuff. Nowadays, open storage is on trend, and that's okay. But then you have to be honest with yourself. If you have more than 1 kid, having open space might not be for you, because it's going to be hard for you to keep it safe and keep it in line and keep it tidy. And lastly, make sure you put comfort first. Picking the right design for your baby's nursery is something, but then if it's not comfortable, it's not warm, and it's not safe, you're doing nothing. Those are the 3 major things that you need to focus on when you're picking the right design for your baby's nursery. It has to be comfortable, it has to be warm, and it has to be safe. Not to mention that you yourself, you're going to be spending a lot of your time in that room. So do yourself a favor, make sure that it's comfortable, it's cozy, and it's warm, not only for your baby but also for yourself. So if you're designing a nursery for your baby, make sure that you put yourself in consideration too. That's all that we had for you in our interior designing, and I hope that if you're soon to be parents, these ideas and tips were helpful. Considering its rapid growth, the city of Kigali's accommodation strike you as overpriced, but most foreigners who live here find it reasonably cheap compared to where they come from.
When you say the cost, 250,000 for rent, most people here think that's a lot of money. But if you had the same house in Kenya, it's a 2-bedroom with a backyard where you can have a parking for 2 cars and maybe a small bike, the same house in the same location in an area like Kenya or Uganda, or I'll say Kenya for example because I know the price as well, would probably go for about 80,000 or 70,000 Kenyan shillings. That's nothing less than 500,000 Rwandan francs. So the difference is, in Rwanda you have a lot of houses that have space, and you have this community houses, as opposed to Kenya where you have maybe apartments and high-rise flats. So that's the difference. So developers here have come to understand that within the master plan we'll have very rapid urbanization. A lot of people will want to stay in the cities at an affordable price, so they're slowly trying to accommodate that. But within the plan as well, some of the places don't allow either high-rise houses or houses that have so much space, so developers have a very hard time trying to mix and match.
I won't say it is expensive, but I will say it is very competitive. So whether it is Joburg, or it is Lagos, or it is Nairobi, or it is Kampala, these are some of the cities I have interacted with people in terms of looking for a place for our staff to stay, or for as a second place when you go there for a long term. I think we are there. We are not cheap. So it's not that Kigali as a city is undervalued or overvalued. I think it's just right. So it comes across as a slightly expensive city because people come with a perception, oh, this is going to be cheap, which it is not, because they give you quality.
In terms of style and materials used to build all these rentals, depending on the target market, some have been built on international standards, where others still lack basics such as proper foundation, to say the least.
So the cost of building in Rwanda is very expensive, because where you get the material is very limited, and even importing is very pricey. So you find most of the people who are building houses, they're not developers themselves, they're just people who want to own a house, right? So you find them having what I've seen with most houses is they have the mud walls, and then they plaster it with cement. Or with, I don't know what else, but it was, I think, cement, and that's not a sturdy house. If very strong winds come, fortunately they're not very common in Rwanda, but if very strong winds or very heavy rains come, or shakes or earthquakes, the house goes down. But the new age developers now, they have the strong concrete blocks, they have the pillars that are heavy and go all the way down, which now makes the house more expensive. That's why when you see people saying, oh, how can I have a house in maybe Chibagabago or some area that is not maybe known to be as high-end as Chimira or Nyarutarama, how is the house so expensive? But it's because of how it's built. So I have a big issue with how the houses are built not to last long enough, but it's something that is changing with time.
Most of these apartments, I don't know if they have been made for expats. I don't see too much of Rwandan skills in terms of artisanship or craftsmanship, or Rwandan culture into these. I see a lot of international standardized Chinese ready-made, built in mass kind of ceilings, chandeliers, sofa sets, the make and the design of the beds, whereas I would have liked something more culturally tuned to, because I'm sure Rwanda, being what it is, has a lot of artisan value, where there is a cultural aspect which goes into it. That is something I miss. So it's very standard.
Most people moving to Rwanda face different challenges getting the right house that suits their personal taste, especially due to lack of proper brokerage channels that brings mixed feelings about house hunting experience.
When I was moving from the previous house, which was in Chimirongo, to Kichuchiro, I tried so much. I looked for a house by myself because I believed I used a commissioner once and we didn't get the right house. Again, twice we didn't get the right house because they didn't quite get what I wanted. And then this one time we got a commissioner who took us to Kichuchiro, but he didn't know the house, so he brought in another person, then who brought in another one and another, and finally we got the house. And I remember when I saw it, I said, I'm done, I'm not looking for any other house. And I believe that if he shows you a nice house, please, by all means, just pay for it. Otherwise, you will never have found that house. There's so many, and we still haven't established the online system where you can actually see the houses. And some of the times you find a seller who you contact them, they say they sold the house a long time ago. The details are also very scanty. So my experience with commissionaires, it's been okay.
So I saw this apartment, which is a fully furnished apartment. I just had to have 2 of my suitcases and I moved in. So, and I find it very, very convenient and very functionally comfortable. So they have thought through what an individual or a family or a group of people living requires on a day-to-day basis. Same thing I noticed even in houses. So there are three kinds of houses I saw. One is not furnished at all. Now that is for people who move in bag and baggage. So they have a container with their own furniture, their own family stuff. Second is people who houses which are semi-furnished. So there are some hard furniture which is there, but most of the other things you buy. And third is again fully furnished, which tries to give you everything that you need. So like it even has a television, it has a DSTV card. You just need to dial the number and recharge and start watching. It has a microwave, it has a fridge, it has... So I think I'm quite comfortable.
Some of the information that has been missing is in regards to the commissionaires, and I've just talked about my experience on how I got the house, but it has not been a general issue or a general solution for everyone around looking for houses. So we had a lot of foreigners who said that they tried understanding what the rates were for maybe Kichuchiro, Kachiru, Nyabugogo, any place around Kigali, but it wasn't clear. You would find a commissioner taking you there, and then they would charge you some exorbitant amounts which they don't charge anyone else just because you're a foreigner and you don't know what happens. So I think it's imperative, now that I know that there's an institute of commissionaires, that all the details are online and easily accessible for everyone to say, if I go with this guy to this place, he will not charge me until I get a house, and he will charge me this amount or this percentage of the rent I pay, and this is what I'm needed to pay, either deposit and 3 months rent, something like that.
The greatest phenomenon of this century is Internet of Things. With Kigali's agenda to become a smart city, you would expect its developers to have started incorporating technologies such as automated gates that will eventually replace gatekeepers, or even built-in network and TV cables to allow tenants to connect their devices without having to break the rules again.
By now, Kigali should have had every house having a fiber. We don't have it. So most of the places we are banking on 4G, on a telecommunication network or a SIM-based connectivity, which to me is counterintuitive because a fiber is that much more fast and accessible. So that's something which I noticed that, and from home technology point of view, I think we have yet to get there. I don't see that here. Not that I see it anywhere else. Like I come from Delhi in India. It is on standalone basis, but I don't see too many integrated security and surveillance systems. It is still very manual. Like a car comes to a complex, why should we not have a proximity identification and gate opening rather than a guard clinging on the door and then opening it every time, or I'm honking from outside.
One of the most impressive things I ever saw, we traveled to Switzerland, and when you get in, you have, it was an iPad on just right near the door, and you take the iPad and you switch the lights on, you switch the tap on, you have the music on, everything at the touch of a button. And then when we got to the bedrooms, on the side of the bed there was, because I mean, new futuristic developers or futuristic house managers have come to understand that when you're somewhere, you don't want to move to access something within the house. So you're seated on your bed and you're able to switch off all the lights of the kitchen, lock the door, everything on the side of your bed, and it's just a small installation. I have my friends who do a lot of development in Nairobi as well, and they've installed cameras for a lot of these high-end houses where you can see if someone drops a package at your house. You can, if you're at work, you have an application, you can just open the door and they drop the package inside the door and they leave immediately. So a lot of this new age technologies are what are coming in, and I think if the price allows, we will see them shift slowly now into our developing Rwandan industry.
To Mr. Shauma, the government of Rwanda have done enough to regulate and promote housing sector. To him, individuals or collective developers should improve quality and other amenities for better efficiency.
See, I think government has already done, government has done enough. But, and because of the way government has done the basic infrastructure of Kigali as a city where I'm living primarily, so I'm not talking pan-Rwanda. Now it is up to the private entrepreneurs, people who make these residential complexes, people who have their own houses, to invest, because anybody, whether it's an expat or it is a local person who can afford a particular level of house will pay for a quality. So, but yes, I would like government to focus on certain regulations or facilitations which help bring better efficiency. For example, if there are lights, I would like to have sensor-based lights. We already have digital meters, but power backups, they have to be automatic. Then why not solar? Why should we not get solar backup rooftop lights which are incentivized in a manner that I as a private citizen want to do it rather than government having to do it as a government project.
Asked about owning a house in Kigali, both Mr. George and Sharma would rather stay outside the ever-growing city of Kigali CBD.
Definitely, for a fact, I would love to have it right on the outskirts of Kigali, not in the CBD. Maybe 20 minutes away, Masaka. I was told somewhere Gahanga. I was told about Gahanga as well, Abujesera. Anywhere where there is prospects for development, like the airport, or this is where the industries are, or where I know the price of land or the cost of houses will go high, and also somewhere where visitors can't just surprise you and say, "Hi, I'm outside your house," or "Are you home?" Exactly. So that's it. So anything right in the outskirts of the city. I would have land, build a house to live in, and then own an apartment and rent it out. Because I would love to have my kids play in the backyard, and of course I love dogs, so I want to see them run around, which might not be the case for an apartment.
I would like to be in a location which is reasonably away from the cluttered or clustered slopes. The only thing I seek is it should be well connected. Surface connectivity has to be good, and the telecommunication connectivity has to be good. And the beauty of Rwanda or Kigali is that whichever hill you are on, the other 7 or 10 hills are the view you get. So I think we are spoiled for choices. I definitely am looking forward to building a place of my own, because I would like to stay in a place which is built as per my requirement, not in terms of size, but in terms of facilities and comforts. So I'm already on the lookout.
Even though owning a house is considered to be among the top 3 best investments today, it shouldn't be done as a trend. Hence, any rushed decisions in real estate can lead to possible inability to pay taxes, mortgages, and afford costly repairs, among others.
Building a house or renting a house is very tricky. And a lot of people think that just because you have money or you have the right people, you could easily go for it. But it needs a lot of research. You need to know whether you really want it, or you could also map out your accounts for maybe the next 5-10 years. You might not need a house. You might live your whole life renting, and that's okay. So people need to understand that whether you buy a house or whether you rent it, as long as it's your own money and you can afford it, it's okay. There's no pressure at all.
The infrastructure, the facilities, the swankiness, you get over it. You may buy a Ferrari today, within 3 months you get over it. So in terms of a country or a place, what endears you are the people. So in my 2 years, it's the people which have mattered, because of which I feel so warmly towards Rwanda. So I think that's your biggest factor, and that will remain. Infrastructure is something which we can always continue working on.
You're still watching The Property Show, and this is our luxury living segment. Today I want to share with you ideas of how you can give your small balcony that relaxing yet luxury feel. But today I want to focus on people that live in apartments, because they tend to have the smallest balconies. So you see it and you're like, I can't do much with this, but there are plenty of ways that you can actually give it that feel of luxury that you have in your bedroom or in your sitting room or all over the house, but the balcony is left because you think it's too small. Number 1, make sure you don't leave your balcony empty. No, that's not an option. Just give it a small table and chairs. And voila, that's all that you need. You can sit there in the morning having your cup of coffee. Make sure you get a nice table and a nice couple of seats that are really nice and comfortable. When we say luxury, here are the few things that come to your mind. Comfy, warm, inviting ambience. You want to create it so that you can feel that luxury. Now, this is what you're going to do with your balcony. How about, instead of leaving just tiles there, how about you put there a small area rug? Yes. have your small table sitting on an area rug, so you have that coziness. The area rug is going to bring that coziness. Then instead of having an individual chair, put there a bench, then give it cushions with colors, bright colors. My number 3 tip here is for the people with these balconies but they're enclosed. So you're asking yourself, what do I do with this? Well, few things that you can do here. How about you bring in the green accents so that you can have that feel of outdoor, indoor. So you can have the fake grass carpets. Yes, that can work. And then you bring in fresh flowers. Also, if you can have your seats made out of wood, so you have the green, you have the wood, and then you have the fresh plants, that's going to bring in the outdoor feel that you don't have. My number 4 tip here is you don't have to settle for the table and 1, 2, maybe 4 seats and that's it. You don't have to settle for that if you're looking for luxury. How about you use the shape of your balcony to your advantage? How about you get someone to make the benches on your balcony that goes with the shape of your balcony. So where the balcony bends, the bench bends. Where it turns, the bench turns. That is going to transform it and give it that feel of luxury. And it's going to be somehow unique. It's different from what you see everywhere. And lastly, don't limit yourself here because you can actually have it all. You can have a small table with a few seats and you can have the cozy carpet. You can have the fresh plants on sides. You can have everything that you want. Just make sure that the furnitures that you bring in, they are not bigger than the space so that you don't limit people that you have to squeeze in when you're getting in or when you're getting out. So make sure that it's comfortable and make sure that it's cozy. Those are the things that you need to focus on if you want to create this luxurious feel on your balcony. It has to be comfortable, it has to be cozy, and it has to have a little bit of space. Don't take away all the space just because you want a lot of furniture in there. That's all we had for you in our luxury living segment. Go on and get something for your balcony and create that luxurious feel that you always wanted. Wuhan Greenland Center. Wuhan Greenland Center is a 636-meter tall skyscraper with 126 floors. It's a mixed-use skyscraper currently under construction in Wuhan, China. Construction of this building began in 2012 and is expected to be completed in 2019. Wuhan Greenland Center provides space for 3 distinctive functions: office, apartments, and hotels. While some mixed-use towers separate users by levels, the triangular floor plan of these buildings allow for the tenants or visitors to have separate entrances at the ground level. Though not each of its 3 equal takes up equal space, office workers, residential and hotel guests will each have a unique experience upon entering the residence. The dome at the top of the tower will be completely clad in glass to create a well-illuminated space that will highlight the tower's construction components and dramatic appeal. When it's completed, it plans to have the world's highest man-made observation deck, taking the title from the Shanghai Tower. And we also have the world's highest hotel, so if you ever wanted to sleep in clouds, this could be your chance. When finished, it will be the tallest building in China, surpassing the Shanghai Tower. That's all we had in today's episode. I hope that the investors and the developers, you heard what these foreigners are looking for and what they think should be done to put our market on an international level. And I hope that you learned a few things from other segments that we shared with you. My name is Brenda, saying goodbye for now. Be well.